health in the business hustle space. Natural Podcast is perfect for the high-performing, business-minded individuals who want to work with their biochemistry to achieve success and optimal health. It's Friday, which means it's time for friends sharing facts about health, business, and overall success. In today's episode, we talk to Tom Paladino. Tom is a scalar energy researcher based in Florida. Scalar energy is the fundamental life force found everywhere in the world, space, and universe. It originates from the sun and stars, such as chi, prana, amna, life force, pyramid energy, or 0 point energy are other names for scalar energy. Tom theorizes that all energy in the universe initiates as scalar energy and that the sun of our solar system and the stars of the universe are the point of origin, the storehouse of energy. So Tom has spent his life researching, and he's going to talk a little bit more about scalar energy on today's podcast, which I'm so excited about. Some of his hobbies include Christian evangelizing, travel, and reading. Welcome to the Natural Health Podcast, Tom.
What a nice introduction.
Thank you. Thank you. So tell me a little bit about traveling. Have you traveled recently? It seems to be one of your hobbies to do.
Actually, I was just 2 weeks ago, I was in Hawaii. I was on a speaking tour, and not too far from you, I guess, in Australia. Anyway, long story short, I'm trying to present my work to the Pacific Rim. People are very open to energy healing or quantum healing in Hawaii. It's a great place to visit.
Yeah, beautiful. Never been to Hawaii, but definitely on the list. So look, Tom, before we get into scalar energy and all the exciting stuff that we're going to talk about today, I'm pretty sure the audience wants to know a little bit more about you. Who is Tom? What are the key points that have happened in your life to lead you to here today? So are you able to share a little bit about that with us?
I've always wanted to see how technology can improve our lives. And invention, I've always been intrigued that invention just sets us a step ahead, any type of technological progress. So as a youngster, I was reading about the great progress that Nicola Tesla was having with scalar energy. And I was baffled that people did not follow up with this. Well, it takes time and effort, and I decided to expend that time and effort to continue on with his research. And it's been a fruitful career, but it has been laborious, and you have to really have this laser focus to make any progress. So I am a scalar energy researcher. What do I see? I see a world in which, in part now, technology can play a big role in improving the human condition. That's what I'm all about with this technology.
I love that. So what was it when you were a kid? Did you see scalar energy? Were you interested in Nikola Tesla? What was it that you went, you know what, this is for me?
Yeah, I've always had that mystical inclination that I could understand an invention, that I could see, if you will, the potential. What Tesla was achieving, Tesla had free energy devices. Let's just say he was able to capture the energy of the stars and power motors. And I said to myself, this is fantastic. Why aren't we doing this? Well, now we're going to revisit his work, and we are going to power the world with star energy. We won't have to rely upon fossil fuels. And in the midst of an energy crisis, I think this really should pique many people's curiosity. So the long story short is scalar energy is going to be our future. It's the new technology that will change the world. It will provide the answers that we have been looking for.
Yeah, I love that. So are you able to give us a little bit more information about the, you said Tesla did all this stuff, but what is it? What was it? Because a lot of people are confused and like, what's this free energy? What is he talking about? Can you give us a little bit of an insight?
Sure. It's not electricity. Tesla worked with AC electricity. Later in his life, he's working with the intelligence of the universe. In other words, scalar energy is everywhere. You tap into it everywhere. He considered it the kinetic energy of the universe. In other words, there's free energy and it pervades the universe. It's from the stars, and the stars broadcast that scalar energy anywhere in the universe. Now, again, why is that so important? Well, not only can we power a motor with this free energy of the stars, but we can do so many other things. Tesla once theorized that we could use scalar energy instruments to in some way abet learning, creativity. I think he's right. A scalar energy instrument properly modulated can improve cognitive function. Scalar energy, once it's mastered, can control gravity. There was a scientist by the name of Grebennikov who created a scalar energy platform. He was able to hover and offset gravity. So imagine if we had anti-gravity platforms. We wouldn't have to worry about transportation. It'd be easy, free transportation by way of anti-gravity, and it's safe. You can't have a collision in an anti-gravity atmosphere. Now, had we have listened to Tesla and these other scalar energy scientists, the world would be decidedly different and for the better, for the better. But sadly, we haven't listened to them.
It's interesting that it's going to be an interesting podcast because you've mentioned free energy, you've mentioned free transport. And I mean, in the world that we're living in now, that's definitely going to pique people's interest, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And thank you for noting that. We need a new paradigm. We need a new paradigm in our economic model. We need obviously a new paradigm in energy creation. So this is the future, people. This technology, it's not electricity. This technology is going to change the world. Once we understand how to harness this energy, we're going to solve problems. That's what I'm all about. I believe in results, performance. We're going to solve problems.
And so, you said that Tesla did both the AC energy and scalar energy. Why do you think there was more attention focused on the AC energy?
Yeah, because the international bankers were making money on AC electricity. And the international bankers only wanted to finance a program whereby they could control electricity, whereas scalar energy cannot be controlled. It's from the stars. Who can control the stars? Nobody. So once we tap into the star energy, as I say, it's game over. The existing military-industrial complex will implode.
It's really interesting. So what is your view of optimal health? For someone to be completely healthy, have optimal health, what does that mean? I guess scalar energy is part of it. What does that mean for Tom?
I believe that scalar energy carries intelligence. And if we lived in a perfect scalar energy environment, we would have perfect intelligence, perfect health. We would achieve homeostasis. It would be perfection. We would be in the steady state. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, what precedes any biological function, any biochemical function, is instructions. So scalar energy, the instructions of the human body, of the biology of the body, can be used to create a specific environment, an advantageous environment that is foreign to disease. It's impossible to have sickness. If you have perfect instructions, then you have perfect health. And this is where we're going. Once we understand and can properly modulate scalar energy, perfect instructions, and then download it into our psyche, we'll have perfect mental health. Download it into our physical bodies, we'll have perfect physical health.
So I love that definition of optimal health. Love it. But you said, perfect download, there will be no such things as disease. But what are some things that interrupt that? What are some things that come in line with that and stop the so-called scalar energy from being perfect at the moment?
Yeah. The world we live in, which is electromagnetic energy. So what am I saying? Our environment, electricity and magnetism, is not conducive to health. Electricity and magnetism always experience some type of degradation, what a physicist would call entropy, or the loss of energy, or in some way the signal decays. Well, that's death. That's disease and death. Now, to the contrary, if you have a scalar wave, the scalar wave never experiences entropy. It's perfect. It never degrades. It's a constant intelligence. So it would be impossible to have disease or death in a perfect scalar energy environment. Now, if we can create scalar energy instruments, we can restore health, or at least prolong life, by having people enjoy this energy that is instructive, that is corrective. Scalar energy is not only instructive, but it's corrective. And many people will come to me when I work with them with a scalar energy instrument, I download those instructions, those corrections, and their health improves.
So, you know, people are like scalar energy, this word, and introduction. There are other words such as chi. Is that what other people would see it as, or other
Exactly.
religions or other cultures?
Yes, precisely, precisely. So this concept has been around for millennia. Om, chi, prana, life force energy, God force energy. Yes, all of those terms are synonymous with this life force. Scalar energy is the energy of the universe. And this is what I'm trying to inculcate, that once we tap into this perfect intelligence, we're going to solve so many problems.
So some people might be sitting here listening and going, okay, interesting. And some people might be like, you know, I meditate, I do yoga. I mean, sometimes I am, you know, feel like I'm floating or whatever it is. Does that mean that they've had a touch with scalar energy? Is that
Yes.
what that is?
Yes, everybody, every mind, every heart, the human mind and the human heart are incredible receptacles, incredible transmitters, if you will, of scalar energy. So the human mind and the human heart are scalar energy driven. Scalar energy drives the mind and the heart, the mind and the emotions, so to speak. And with that, many people, because they're just so creative or so intelligent, sometimes you have to pause and you have to ask yourself, why are some people so versed? How is it that somebody has a specific skill at say mathematics, or somebody else at computers, or another person is very skilled as a runner or as a pianist? How does that happen? Those are scalar energy instructions. Those are scalar energy gifts. And those gifts are imparted by God, but the means of communicating that intelligence is always a light, an energy, which is scalar energy. So what am I getting at? Well, if we could finally control that gift from God, we could download intelligence. We could download a skill. We could download the ability to understand a language or a specific scientific principle. So scalar energy has so many benefits in the offing. It's going to prove to be as I always say, the watershed event. Once mankind starts working with this new paradigm, when we leave behind what I consider death and decay by way of electromagnetic behavior, and we enter into this life force energy, everything changes. Every aspect of our lives will change.
And is that why some individuals, you know, either live in a forest or in scriptures back in the days, they used to live more than 100 years old?
Yes, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. I actually received a message once from the Blessed Virgin Mary, and she told me that the biblical figures actually live a very long life, and it's not to be taken out of context. That there is a quote, for instance, Methuselah lived for 969 years. How is that possible? We were living in a scalar energy environment millennia ago, and it's in so many respects, we were impervious to disease and decay and death. And so, yes, in a perfect scalar energy environment, or near perfect scalar energy environment, you can live for 400, 500 years. So let it be known that ancient man at one time was living in a really very strong scalar energy force field. And because of that, people live for hundreds of years in vibrant health. Their bodies did not break down. Today, our bodies are breaking down by age 50, 60 years of age.
Yeah. So does that also, you were mentioning about scalar energy, downloading information and so forth, does that have anything to do with, you know, the pyramids, Stonehenge, and all of these places around the world, which are pretty filled with energy? And, you know, looking at it now, it's like, oh, how could have man built that?
Yeah, I agree with you. There are many ancient monuments that are beyond man's capability. I believe some of those monuments were built by fallen angels. But what I see as the common denominator, those saying pyramid or an obelisk, is capturing is some type of passive generator for scalar energy. So these ancient ruins, there was a lot of architecture to it. It's what we consider the cosmic architecture that allowed those ancient structures to capture and to even broadcast scalar energy. So many pyramids are nothing short of a scalar energy reservoir, a scalar energy capacitor. And many people are starting to realize that the energy in and around a pyramid is quite different from that in our homes and offices.
Yeah. So, going back to scalar energy, in the introduction, I said it comes from the sun and the stars. So where does it actually originate? Is that where it originates from? What is it in nature? Can you describe it a little bit more? Because some people might be just blown away with everything we've said in the last 15 minutes or so, and being like, whoa, what is all this?
I believe it comes from the Creator. I believe scalar energy is from God, specifically from Jesus Christ. And that the stars, if you will, are the points of origin, or I should say the storehouses for this energy. So if you look at the universe and its cosmic display, you look at the stars, and that's really the point, the initiation point of this scalar energy. There has to be some point of origin. But I do believe scalar energy is a divine energy, giving further credence to the notion that if we were in a perfect scalar energy environment, we could live forever, disease-free.
So what is this perfect scalar energy environment?
We're starting to realize it, and whether people call it scalar energy or not, a lot of people are starting to pray more and meditate more. They realize that a prayerful state, a meditative state, puts people in that scalar energy state, and it is different. It's decidedly different than our busyness of our lives. So one of my functions as a researcher is to show people just how easy this is to access that scalar energy dimension. We do it automatically. We don't even realize it by thinking, by our emotions, by our feelings. But to accentuate that and to really work with God, hand in hand with God, that's the beginning step to enter into a new paradigm. So this is really union with God. If scalar energy is from God, then you have to unite with God in either prayer, meditation, positive thinking. It's another way of entering into communion with God. Positive thinking will allow somebody to interface, to connect with God. Now, all of that sounds, I'm sure, spiritual to many people. And now we're starting to see how the division between spirit, religion, and science, there is none.
I was about to ask you a few questions about that. It's interesting that you mentioned that, yes.
Yeah. There is no demarcation line. There is no division. Science is religion, religion is science. It's just a different way of interpreting reality. If it's reality, if it's true, well, whether it's scientific truth or religious truth, it's still the truth. So take a deep breath, and we say to ourselves, we're really now at the, if you will, the launch pad of civilization. If we can control this intelligence, scalar energy intelligence, we will control our destiny.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you mentioned the science and the science and the spirituality meeting, right? We have grown up to understand that this is science and this is spirituality, or, there's no combination within the two. Why is that? And you said there is a combination because one is the other and the other is the one.
Right. It's a sad state of affairs that we've taken two camps of thought and made them two disparate camps of thought when really they're all part of the whole. Tesla was a great scientist, but he was also a mystic. He also had a spiritual side, and he realized that this all-pervasive energy had to come from God. Yes, it has scientific principles, but how can an energy pervade the universe in an instant? Well, only God, the Spirit of God, can pervade the universe in an instant. So what a scientist would look at, they would call it a longitudinal wave or scalar energy. Now, a mystic would say, well, that's the omnipresence of God. And both explanations are true and accurate.
That's the key thing, is that both are true. Neither one has to prove that the other is wrong. And I think that's the key of moving forward, that they work together, like what you're doing right now. You're, science is meeting spirituality for you to help individuals and educate and enlighten individuals. So you've created a Scalar light instrument. You've
Yes.
spoken about Scalar light, how important it is, and how, we would be disease-free and healthy and so forth, all these amazing things about it. And now you're telling us you've come up with a instrument which gathers the energy. Is that what it is? Give us an
Yes.
insight.
The instrument does gather the energy of the stars. And this energy is everywhere, but you have to control it and you have to harness it. And in so doing, I have scalar energy instruments that control star energy. And then once I do that, I can perform a scientific function with these instruments. Now, I'm going to give you an analogy. We all know that electrons exist. Well, it wasn't until we could harness the flow of electrons, which is an electrical current, that we could have mastery, some type of control over electricity. Well, now we have to control scalar energy. And once we do that, we'll have mastery over this other dimension, the scalar energy dimension. And the gifts are going to be manifold. Once we understand scalar energy and how to harness this energy and how to not only control it, but to, if you will, apply it. Once we apply this life force energy, our lives will never be the same.
Yeah. So it's an instrument, kind of like a telescope, kind of like our electricity, like solar energy, like, what we have on our roofs. Is that kind of like what it is? Is that kind of how it works?
It works on the same principle. If you have solar panels on your roof, those solar panels are going to capture, if you will, the energy of the sun, of the stars to some extent. And so doing, once you capture that energy, you can do so many things with solar power. Well, scalar energy is not electricity, so we are capturing solar power, but we're not converting it into AC. We're keeping it with scalar energy. I could share my screen if you want. I could show one of the scalar energy instruments if we can do that.
Yeah, of course. Let's go for it. I think I'll have to disable. Just bear with me.
These are custom-built instruments, scalar energy instruments. And in so doing, these custom-built instruments are able to work with a scalar energy paradigm. That's one of the instruments that I work with. At the bottom right, at the bottom left-hand side is a vacuum tube that is a cold vacuum tube, so to speak, in which we can create a scalar wave and maintain a scalar wave. And then to the middle, you'll see another glass fixture. That's a capacitor that starts the pulsation. It starts pulsing on, off the scalar wave. And then to the right, you see 4 wires leading into a Tesla coil. At the very right-hand bottom, at the right-hand corner at the bottom, those are Tesla coils. And those Tesla coils then will broadcast the energy to anywhere in the room, or the universe for that matter. So what's peculiar about that instrument, it controls scalar energy, and in so doing, you have an immediate interface with a scalar energy paradigm. It's not electricity, it's not magnetism, meaning what? That instrument allows me to enter into another dimension. I can enter into a scalar energy dimension with that instrument. And I'm very keen on that, because this is the very quiddity of my research. I don't work within an electromagnetic dimension. I work in another dimension. And that's why I can access the laws of physics, so to speak, that do not apply to electricity and magnetism. I have now entree, if you will, to another dimension that really provides supernatural power.
Yeah, wow. So that looked amazing. How long did it take you to make that instrument? I mean, I didn't understand hardly any of it. You're talking and I was like, whoa, okay, cool. But how long did that make you to come up with that?
I would say that's been a saga for the past 125 years. It started with Tesla and another scientist by the name of Hieronymus. And then I've worked with some other engineers presently. So that really is a compilation of 125 years of engineering and hard work. And we're finally to the point where we can control scalar energy. It's a dependable energy, and we can control it. Well, that's the whole point of engineering. You want to have a repeatable function. If you can control scalar energy and do so in a repetitive function, then you've mastered the energy. And in so doing, once you master that energy, then you master some aspect of creation. I'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah. On the other side also, things that can do so much good can also be on the other side. Is it dangerous at all? Like, I guess anything in the wrong hands.
It could be dangerous. It could be dangerous. And this is one of the reasons why I won't release the plans. I won't manufacture instruments. Any instrument is a tool, and it can be used for good or evil. I usually use the analogy of a hammer. Well, a hammer is wonderful. You can pound nails, and you can build with a hammer, but you can also hit somebody with a hammer. So it really depends on how you utilize these instruments. So to answer your question, I won't manufacture these instruments. There's just too much liability.
100%, 100%. It's also the intention behind it. And my belief is that your intention behind this is pure.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, you have to have that laser focus. You have to want to help people, honor God. I believe I have that laser focus. I've demonstrated that for 50 some years now. And put all that into context, you're going to hear about this technology in the next 5 years. It's unstoppable now. People want it. They demand it. And in so doing, I would say this is a grassroots movement. We'll keep it a grassroots movement. And the people are carrying the banner. If you will, who are the torchbearers? It's the people.
100%. So give us a bit of an example of this instrument in a sense of, okay, so now we understand what scalar energy is. We understand that, you've worked for so many years and taken on other people, scientists, and came up with this amazing instrument, and you're able to control scalar energy now. What then?
Yeah, what next? Well, I want to prove that this works. And in so doing, I have to be able to work with people to prove it. Now, how do I prove it? Well, before we get into that, I have to make this very clear. A scalar energy instrument works through a person's photograph. I actually take a photograph of a person. This is my photograph, and I place it inside the instrument. The instrument will look at the force field, will interpret the signature on a photograph, and then send energy to the force field. Essentially, it's sending energy to my spirit. Now, this is non-physical. So any type of scalar energy session is non-physical, sending energy into a force field or a signature. Well, in so doing, once I send energy into my photograph, I can balance my 7 chakras. I can balance my brain waves. I'm able to assemble, I'm able to send nutrients into the force field, vitamins and minerals, antioxidants into the force field. I'm able to create a very blissful situation. Many people say after being treated with scalar energy, they have a sense of tranquility, bliss. Others have said it has removed in some fashion their procrastination, their anxiety, their depression. So in this other dimension, things happen so quickly, events just unfold so quickly. And in many ways, it's a quite favorable outcome because you're working with fundamental energy. Nothing can stand in its way. So this really has an immediate cause and effect relationship, which is what I love. It's not a chemical, it's not drugs, it's not massage, it's non-physical intelligence.
Wow. So you take the photo, for example, of yourself, you put it in the instrument, and you send scalar energy to that individual, to their spirit.
Right.
Non-physical, could be anywhere in the world, and therefore
Yes.
that energy is transferred to that individual, and
Yes.
that lasts for who knows how
As,
long.
as long as their photograph is in the instrument.
Okay.
So if you turn on a light switch at home, you have illumination as long as there's a current, as long as
Yes.
you have instructed the light to power your home. Well, likewise with my instrument, I'm able to access a force field anywhere in the world. And as long as a photograph of a person is inside my instrument, it works.
Wow.
And consider that. Consider that. Anywhere in the world, I've been working with people in Africa and Asia, all over the world by way of their photograph. And I've been quite successful. All I need is a photograph to access somebody.
Wow. So how did you come up with the photograph? What did you think about other things before that? Was it the name? Was it, what was?
You know, there are some people who've advocated that we work with vials of blood or even in some cases, fingernail clippings. That's unhygienic. That's not hygienic. So I started working with Polaroid photographs back in the 90s, and then I graduated to digital by way of email photograph, and it works just fine. Now, you might say, what's the point here? A photograph is the bilocated version of a person, an animal, or a plant. If I hold up my photograph has my signature. It's as if I am now on that piece of paper. So there's two Toms, and I am bilocated. Even though my physical structure is sitting in this chair, right next to my physical structure is my energetic copy on a photograph. So I bilocate. Now, when I place a photograph of a person inside the instrument, no matter where that person is located, it's still a bilocation. So the energy field on the photograph receives the energy connecting with that person at a distance. But keep in mind, everything is non-physical intelligence, and it's the photograph and the information field that receives the instructions. It's quite profound.
It's interesting because I know there's some natives and indigenous individuals that don't like photos being taken off them. So it kind of...
They're right. They're right. They understood. They understood that a photograph, a source of light, captures a person's essence. So there's a great deal of wisdom to many people who have a background in indigenous, a background of, I know some American Indians who had that feeling that they don't want their photograph taken, that they realize that you are capturing their essence, you're capturing their soul, their mind, and their body. And they're right. My soul, my mind, and the body have been incorporated on a photograph. Now, if you can wrap your head around that, then you not only understand religion, but you also understand science. And you are going to be one of the pioneers in this new field of scalar light theory.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy. And even here, the indigenous people of Australia, Aborigines, when someone has deceased, they always say, warning, there might be photos of deceased. Because it's something that probably shouldn't be done, or it's their spirit, their energy, as you said. So that's really interesting that you've decided to work with photos. So individuals, so the whole process, from my understanding, is the individual sends you a photo. The photo gets placed into the Scalar energy machine. You turn it on. The individual receives Scalar energy whilst the machine is on. Does there have to be an intention before it? Is there anything you were mentioning about downloading things? Is there anything that the person has to tell you, or?
Yeah, I frequently, I will always impart an intention or a prayer when I'm working with people. A prayer is very meaningful. I think you're prudent to realize that if a person has a prayerful attitude or accepting attitude, that will accelerate the healing. So this gives credence to the notion of think thoughts that are uplifting, positive, holy, decent thoughts. Likewise, as far as your health is concerned, be positive and have the intention to get well and to want to be well.
So what just came to me is an interesting question about scalar energy and this thing called a placebo in any drugs, any operation, because there's many, as this study was done, and individuals either received an operation, actual operation. Some people were just put under anesthetic. Some people were told they had an operation and it didn't. And some of those felt better than the people that had the operation. So is scalar energy involved in that, do you believe?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. The placebo effect is a person somehow willing a favorable outcome. The person is now thinking through scalar energy processes that they're better. They want to be better. So that sets up the intention. That sets up the healing. Yes.
Yeah. And interesting that you said about talking about health is that you can send nutrients to yourself. So
yes.
Have you had any experience with that where you've,
I'll explain. If I wanted to send vitamin E, this is a photograph of vitamin E. I would actually place a photograph of vitamin E in the instrument. The instrument would look at the hallmark, would look at the signature on vitamin E as a photograph, and then reproduce that inside of me. So we can take a photograph and download it into a person. All of this is non-physical instruction. What am I getting at? So I'm sending the instructions of vitamin E into my body, into my spirit body, into my quantum body, and then my body starts to assemble vitamin E. It's a massive, universal, instructive energy. It's beyond comprehension what you can do with this energy. It can be programmed to do anything. Scalar energy instruments will do what you ask them to do. And what are they capable of? Any function in the universe. That's pretty daunting.
100%, 100%. It's interesting that you showed us a photo of vitamin E. And then you've mentioned that you're able to then put that inside of your body from the photo. So similar to the photos that you were talking about as individual. So it's kind of like, have you heard about flower essences?
Yes.
Yes. So individuals also say that, yes, you can put the drops in your mouth, but you can also carry the flower essences with you. Because that energy, goes through and copies into you, I guess, kind of working in a similar way. And I mean, individuals listening may be like, okay, I've heard similar things like this, but it's never been really explained or never really been put into, okay, that is scalar energy, or that is life force, or that is that energy. It's just been kind of like passed on, where it's like, okay, well, you can close your eyes and believe it's going to happen, or have that faith it's going to happen. What's the difference between that and scalar energy? Is it the same?
It's the same. It's the same. If I can set out an intention with my instrument, it's a scientific process. Then a person, by way of intention, rightful thinking, can do that through prayer, through meditation, through some type of repetitive cognitive process. Sure. Now, all of this should really embolden the audience to realize that we have our destination in our hands. Our destiny is in our hands. And where we wind up in life, in many ways, is really predicated upon what we wanted to be in life, and how we thought and how we acted. At the end of the day, we all have to take stock with ourselves and our life, and we have to say, I created that situation, or I in some way encourage that situation. So as your mom would say, make sure you hang out with the right people. Make sure you surround yourself with the right people. And many health coaches say, have positive thoughts, of course, pray, meditate. We have many religious leaders have told us that. All of this works hand in hand. Now, this is not pseudoscience. This is rightful living. This is common sense. And this type of lifestyle, everybody can enjoy. And many people are starting to wake up to that and enjoying that type of lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah. And it's interesting that you said we have a destiny in our hands, because it's not something that we're told every day. We're not told that we have our destiny in our hands. We're told that, you are going to probably die by the age of 83, because that's the average age. You're probably going
Yeah,
to get
terrible.
sick. You're probably going to do this. So for you to even say that to me, to the audience, that we have destiny in our hands is a huge point.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, yeah. And I mean every word of that. Thank you. Today I had a very good day. I had a few problems, but I overcame those problems. I was researching. I had a little business to conduct. I was in my laboratory for 3 or 4 hours. I had a good day. And because I wanted it to be a good day, and because I took the necessary steps to make it a productive day, a good day. And, I could have fed into the negativity. I could have been a part of the problem. I wasn't. I was part of the solution today. And I do that on a religious basis. And I obviously would encourage anybody to do that. There's a great deal of negativity in the world today. And a lot of it, we don't see it. It's all pervasive. Don't listen to that. It's nonsense.
Yeah. So are individuals able to download Scalar energy themselves without the instrument? And if
Oh,
so,
sure.
how?
By thinking, by praying, by feeling. I firmly believe scalar energy is from God. It's a divine energy, and God has given us all of it. Everybody has this gift. And whether you think, you pray, you feel, all of those are actual functions of scalar energy. So what am I trying to do? As a scientist, I'm trying to prove this scientifically, but if anybody can prove this just by meditating or by using your creativity. Some people are great artists. Some people have the gift of language, or again, some type of a skill, athletic skill. All of that is scalar energy in motion.
Yeah. So that empowers the individual, because what you just said is they can just literally sit there, close their eyes, and be able to feel bliss and be in a blissful state, and be connected.
Yes, exactly. That perhaps is the most important lesson we're going to learn tonight, that people have within their control, their destiny, their life, what is going to become of their life is in many ways within their control, not by extraneous forces. People have that control. When people realize that, I think they'll be more mindful as to the way they think, the way they pray, the way they feel, what they say. Okay? All of this, at the end of the day, you can either make or break your day. Why not make a happy life for yourself?
Yes, 100%. And the audience must be thinking and being like, I remember that time that I woke up really grumpy, and then I said to myself, I'm going to have a good day. And all of a sudden it was a good day, even though they woke up on the wrong foot or with different thoughts. So it's really interesting. And I love the whole aspect of it, and that, you're able to capture it and then send it to individuals, or that individuals are able to, kind of capture it themselves and have that energy within themselves at any given time. There's not a close and open date, is there? There's not a time where it's open and closed. It's open 24/7.
Exactly. So, consider what we're saying. Free energy of the universe is our free instructions from God, the universe. It's unlimited. This potential is unlimited. Once the world understands what scalar energy means, it's going to just take off. The world will embrace this. Once the world embraces this concept will be practiced. People will apply this throughout their lives.
Yeah. So what is the future of Tom and Scalar Energy and your instruments? What does it look like?
I want to introduce this to as many people as possible. I envision, and we've been successful thus far, as a grassroots effort. This is a grassroots effort. Now, why do I highlight a grassroots effort? Well, there's a good deal of corruption in the world. But if I keep it with the people, it will work. It has worked. So if I had my druthers, the rest of my life, I'll just keep this or for an extended period of time at least, I'll work with the people, because there's no impediment with the people. There's no roadblocks. So why would I want to incur any roadblock with government, big business, academia, any legislative branch? They don't understand this. So keep it away from nefarious forces, frankly. and keep it with the people.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you'll have the most power and the most impact.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
100%.
Exactly.
100%. So look, so so what does, so we can just kind of foresee, what does the future look like of us moving into scalar energy and then moving into the whole dimension of being into scalar energy? Because from the start of the episode, you said people can live forever. I mean, wouldn't we have too many people in the world? Wouldn't we have not enough food? Wouldn't we have not enough of these things that people are scared of? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, well, if we were living in a perfect scalar energy paradigm, there would be no scarcity. Nothing would be scarce, and anything would be at our beck and call. So, you know, what comes with that notion of there's too many people in the world? No, I don't agree with that. There's just a lack of intelligence to manage those people. And if we had a scalar energy instrument in every home, well, every home would be that heavenly bliss. It would be a home of bliss, a home of intellect, a home where there would be no disease and death. So what am I getting at? Scalar energy is free energy. And if it's free energy, you don't have to pay for energy anymore. Or it's very much a reduced cost of this utility. If it's going to produce favorable health, well, we're not going to have so many people who are sick or dying. If this is the way to inculcate a thought, then we'll go to school and we'll literally have scalar energy instruments that will teach us, will download information. All of this is just head over heels as opposed to our archaic trial and error method that we're using right now. It's so laborious. It's so archaic. So scalar energy will change every facet of our lives for the better. What do I want to do in the next year or two? I want to show people around the world that a scalar energy instrument, whether working with one person or working with thousands or millions of people, that's a collage, can indeed send out favorable energy, can create vitamins, can balance the chakras. And if people get on board and they say, yes, this is of merit, then the next step is not only free energy for people, but free energy for homes. And I want to be able to implement some type of power device in which every home in the world could be generating star power, sun power. So we don't have to rely upon coal and oil and wind turbines and hydrothermal vents and hydroelectrical turbines. There's another way of doing this.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, some individuals listening to this might be like, wow, this is way over my head. Some individuals might be like, this is definitely exactly what I'm thinking and feeling. I guess either way, it's good to know what you said about either one of us has been given the power to download this energy into us to feel it. So either the person that is questioning it a bit, the other one that's on my level, we can just close our eyes and feel it. And that's the proof in itself.
Yes, you're right. It's there's something out there that has to be giving order out of chaos. If you look at the universe, there's just too many systems that rely upon some type of intelligence. It's got to be scalar intelligence. Otherwise, the universe would fall apart.
It's too organized, isn't it, up there?
It is. That's the best way to put it. It's too organized not to have some type of intelligence. If you look at all the galaxies, why are they so organized? Why don't they just fall apart? Where is the structure coming from? It has to be scalar intelligence.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%, 100%. So someone's interested and is like, okay, wow, I want to feel some scalar energy. I want some scalar energy being sent to me. What do they do, Tom?
I think the best way is to look at our website. We offer 15 days of free scalar energy treatments. Anybody in the world can email us their photograph. We only work with emailed photographs, and you can send your pets and family members. Now, during 15 days, we'll balance your chakras, we'll provide nutrients for you, and we'll, if you will, eradicate, we'll get rid of, so to speak, viruses and bacteria and harmful toxins and chemicals. Now, for 15 days, we practice those modalities on a daily basis, a chakra balancing, a vitamin nutrient program, and a pathogenic cleanse. After 15 days, I would say the majority of people say, I felt something, even though I wasn't in your laboratory. The connection of our force field by way of a photograph, people say, I felt something and I feel better. So that's the way we introduce, at least now, that's the way we introduce this new science to people. That gives somebody, if you will, a grip on what we're doing. So that's one approach. There's going to be many other approaches, but with my limited means, my limited resources, that's all I can do right now.
That's absolutely amazing. And if you could give someone, and I'm going to put all those details in the show notes, the website and how to access those 15 days from you. And if you can give someone maybe 1, 2, even 3 practical tips for them to feel this scalar energy, besides going through you, what would you say, or what would be an advice?
If you remember the golden rule, and this really hits the nail on the head: love God, love your neighbor, love yourself. And I don't say that to be trite. I mean every word of that. We all have our good days and bad days. If you love God, love your neighbor, love yourself, do the best that you can, this will be a better world. And I'm going to make this very clear. Some people don't love themselves, which is wrong. You have to love God, love your neighbor, and love yourself. And if you do that on a consistent basis, you'll make your life better, and you'll make the people around you, you'll make their lives better. And that's the key. You might not be able to influence 8 billion people on planet Earth, but you can influence yourself and your family members.
Wow. So when science meets spirituality, the answer is to love yourself. I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
I don't think there's enough of that in this world. Some people are a little bit too critical of themselves. Everybody makes mistakes, and I envision a much better world. I envision a world in which we can solve problems now, not just complain about problems.
I love that. I love that. We have to, it's such a true scientist, find the issue, how to get there and get there.
Yeah. I just hit the nail on the head. Why putz around here?
Yeah, 100%. Well, thank you so much, Tom, for being on the podcast. Before we finish off, is there anything that you do every single day, like a little hack or a health hack, or anything that you do for your health every day, once a week that you pray?
I pray every day. I pray every day. I always rely upon Jesus behind me. I pray every day. And I start my day off with a prayer. And so that gives me direction every day. Try it. It works. Try and pray every day.
100%. Thank you so much for joining us on the Natural Health
Thank
Podcast,
you.
Tom. Really appreciated your time and all the knowledge that you've shared with us. Is there anything else you want to share with the audience before we close up for today?
Be happy. Don't be so hard on yourself. And look, the glass is always half full. Don't feed into the negativity of this world. Be happy.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us on a Natural Health Podcast. And remember, the missing link between failure and success is your health. Information provided here is opinion of Mihaela Raguse and is for information purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. It is not intended to provide medical advice or take the place of medical advice or any current treatment you're undertaking. Consult your own medical professionals for any medical issues that you may be having. This entire disclaimer also applies to any guests or contributors to the Natural Health Podcast. It is advised that you consult your doctor or healthcare professional in relation to any health concerns you may be having. Mihaela Raguse does not take responsibility for any health consequences which occur from a person listening, viewing, or reading this content. Under no circumstances shall the Natural Podcast, Mihaela Raguse, any guests or contributors to the Natural Podcast, or any employees, associates, or affiliates of Mihaela Raguse be responsible for damages arising from the information provided on the Natural Podcast. By listening to this podcast, you agree not to use this podcast as medical advice to treat any medical conditions in either yourself or others. Please note, if you're taking prescription, do not stop your medication or start a new protocol, including but not limited to supplements, diet, lifestyle changes without consulting a doctor or healthcare professional. If you or any person has a medical concern, you should consult with your healthcare provider or seek other professional medical advice. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something that you have read or heard on the Natural Podcast or in any linked materials. If you think you may have a medical emergency, call your doctor or emergency services immediately. Neither Mihaela Raguse nor the publisher of this content takes responsibility for the possible health consequences of any person or persons reading or listening or following the information in educational content.